All right, you guys, I don't have a gavel, but we're gonna call this meeting to order at 5:30, right on time. Thank you all for coming today. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Mary, you wanna do that?
Yes, Doug Mendenhall is here. Michaela
Here,
John Estel.
be online yet.
I don't think so.
All right, I guess I'll run upstairs real quick. All right, I'll be back.
Oh, mute, Andre.
Andre.
There we go, we got him.
All right, Todd Vaughn,
Here.
Greg Kennerly,
Here.
Kathy,
Present.
Lisa Lonza. I don't think she's on. No.
Nope.
Okay,
All right, but we still have quorum, so. All right, let's move on to the pledge of allegiance. People online, just stay muted, please. Oh. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. All right, Ben, you wanna lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Might need to turn on the AC in this room. What do you guys think?
I would say.
Whatever you want.
It gets so warm in here with all the bodies. Yeah, and that sun just comes through in
How
the
you doing?
morning.
All right, buddy.
Good to see you.
All right, okay.
It's all the hot air.
Audio output at
I
all.
know.
Quick comes out of people's mouths.
Oh, we're good. Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and get to,
That we're not getting any audio.
I think it was
Are we?
like that
are we
this
muted?
morning when we were trying to contact you.
no, we're going.
He said that he wasn't getting any audio. And it was like that this morning too.
Jennifer, can you hear us? Could you come off mute if you can hear us?
I can.
Okay.
Good. Did you see Lisa?
User error.
Oh, and Lisa
No,
is here.
downstairs trying to get it to work and I couldn't hear anything. Okay, I'll come upstairs.
Lisa's here
That's
too.
better.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's get started then. Agenda item 4.1, consent agenda. We have two sets of minutes in here. Has everybody had an opportunity to look through those? And if so, any corrections? Correction, all right. I will entertain a motion to accept these minutes as written.
So.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Kathy made a motion, Todd seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I think unanimously. Okay, and then we have the preventative maintenance report 4.3. Is that Andre? Oh, you're here.
Or did we do 4.2 for the special board?
I just left them together.
Okay,
I figured it was more efficient.
that is.
We had 7 vehicles come in for maintenance for March. It kind of fluctuates, but some months are really heavy, some months are kind of light. March was light, total of 7 vehicles. 100% were serviced on time and within the window.
I just love these 100, 100, 100, 100.
Pretty anal retention, so.
Well, we appreciate that, Andre. That is great. Anything else you need us to know about the maintenance on the vehicles?
We have a few large items coming up, but we are trying to postpone them out as far as we can, just to do basically with our budget and everything.
Mhm.
We do have couple large items to do them, some of the bigger buses.
Yeah, when do we anticipate needing to move forward with those?
I'm basically trying to keep them out of route at this point.
Yeah.
As much as possible, but another one needs a full head of realignment done and all new injectors is about $9,000.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to keep that one off as much as I can at this point.
Mhm.
We did just have a training redone, we were able to get out of warranty, so that saved us a bunch of money there.
Oh, good.
Even though it was out of warranty, our mechanic, myself, we were kind of working together. And we got them to, warranty that, the part of the transmission, so that's.
Oh, wow.
But other than that, that's pretty much it, just, one international lead.
Okay. Any other questions, you guys, for Andre? All right, well, thank you very
All
much,
right.
and we appreciate your diligence and the fact that you just saved us some money, so.
Trying to save every corner I can.
We love it.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
let's,
you.
Absolutely.
let's move on to Jennifer. She's online for an ODOT update.
Don't have too much. We have some trainings coming up in May and June. One's going to be NEPA. Another is going to be procurement, which I highly recommend. I believe that that was one of the action items from your review, that people continue to take procurement classes. Our agreements are going to be going out in the next several months, and so those will be coming to you all for signatures, and I think that's about it right now.
So with the two trainings, who are those put on by?
One is put on by folks that are in our highway division, the NEPA, and then
That's
the
from
other one-
ODOT,
correct, and the other one is
Okay.
RLS.
RLS, okay. Okay, perfect. Is there any cost for attending those?
They're all virtual until we have the drug and alcohol training, which is going to be in the latter part of July, first part of August. And that one will be in person in Bend. So the cost would be what it takes to get there and your stay. But there are scholarships available for that.
And that one is that the one that's in June?
Nope, that one is the latter part of July, first
Oh,
part of
July.
August, yeah. And
Okay.
I will be sending out notices when we get the signups all finished. So there should be a Gov delivery going out shortly for that one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and usually the scholarships are really not that difficult to apply for. And even if you think that you're gonna maybe go, you might as well fill it out, just in case. All right, and then Jennifer, on those NEPA and procurement trainings, can you send invitations out to the board, or how can we get invited to those?
Yeah, I can definitely send it to your staff and then they can get it to the board for sure.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. And is that everything?
That's it at the moment.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, financial report. Sherry. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, I
In the back.
gotta turn my chair. I can't turn my neck anymore.
Has everybody had a chance to review the financial report for this month?
It's right under after 6.1.
Okay.
So I'd like to I personally would like to just go over like the balance sheet and then the P and L, the UPP 2018 to the current. Because those are the most accurate. The quarterly and the monthlies, it doesn't always capture, it doesn't capture what we began the quarter with, and it doesn't always capture all of the income for the whole time period. So at the end of March, we had $106,226 dollars to roll into this quarter. So that's what we had left. And we just got our STIF funds last week. Jennifer was great and pushed them through quickly for us this month. So right now, we're sitting at about a little over 600,000 in the bank. And then I just finished the quarterly report for due May 15th, but I'm done. So I just submitted our APR and SPR report and the two reimbursements for the federal funds. So that's about 77, little, almost 270,000 in reimbursements that were,
Okay, and we're getting to be kind of in a tight spot at the end of this quarter,
Mhm.
correct?
well, yeah, we're gonna probably have about once, the projections that I've done, we should have with the reimbursements for fourth quarter, because we get them after the fact. We should have almost 400,000, I think,
Okay.
to roll into the new, fiscal year,
Okay,
so.
and then, this isn't in your report, but just because you are the one that looks at the numbers, you know what it takes, what we need to be able to continue to operate. What do you anticipate happening? You know, they're talking about huge shortfalls with ODOT, right? The transportation package that's coming up in the legislature. Where do you anticipate we're going to be at as a transportation district if we possibly don't get federal funds, if,
Well, if we don't get federal funds and any of our state funds, I mean, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
right,
So, most of our, 90% of our, resources, our revenue come
Mhm.
from either state or federal funds,
right.
so.
Because we don't have
They're
county
critical.
taxes,
Mhm.
nobody's paying into this except basically all of our money is coming from state and federal funds, right?
And we get very little on fare box, you know,
Mhm.
and the sale of our tickets and things like that, so.
Yeah,
We definitely, I know that Amirin has sent out some, emails to some of the local government, the cities, the mayor's offices, to see if we can.
give us a little maybe to help us,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely their budgeting time. I'm hoping we haven't missed the window.
Mhm.
But we really need to focus on getting some revenue in that we can actually budget.
Mhm.
You know, we have a lot of other ideas on how to bring in our own money, but
Mhm.
so it's contingent on, you know, if we can get people that wanna do certain things, but if we can get to the cities and build those relationships and get them to commit. So.
Yeah, we're gonna need some local support,
Mhm.
possibly, I mean. We grew very quickly, you
We
know,
did.
and then now we're kind of in this spot of, well, we've grown, but now we need the money to maintain it. And,
We used to get, local city funds, and
Right.
I'm not sure what happened with
Yeah,
those
why don't you-
relationships, so.
mhm. Well, we know where you come in. Make those relationships happen.
That's the idea. That's
So-
the idea.
Right now, we have, if, I know, we used to provide like, how much of our budget are we using and where
Mhm.
are we, based off of what we budgeted and what we're actually using.
Mhm.
And we don't do that anymore, RLS, recommended that we, you know, didn't do that.
Mhm.
Which it really probably isn't the greatest report, but I just wanted to let you guys know that we are about 63,000 to the good on where we've budgeted versus where we're spending.
Oh, that's
So
good.
we, you know, we are staying within we're under budget actually.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, hold on.
Government agency in Oregon is operating under budget. Name more than one.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So who's in charge of the city that makes that decisions for the funding, to get some of the funding? Is that gonna be the city council?
Council.
probably city council meetings we need to attend, we need to get with them and
Mhm.
Yeah.
figure out if they have any, you know, funds in their, budget to be able to help us with. We used to get some from the city of Roseburg, we used to get some from Winston, Sutherland, Dillard. And we don't get any of that anymore.
Mhm.
Does the county do any contribution?
I have not ever seen anything from the county.
Okay.
That would probably fall
Working on
under
that
the
one.
taxes and.
Right.
And that was.
Well, and when we formed this district, we actually formed it without a
It-
tax district.
I think it was part of the.
It was part of the
agreement,
deal.
The deal. yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and now it's much more difficult to go back and establish that tax district. So, well, maybe we can get it locally, but I am very impressed that we are 68,000?
63,000.
63,000 under budget, great job.
Yeah,
That is
really
really
great
good.
job.
Any other questions for Sherry on financial report?
And
What
that's
happens if
on-
the federal government doesn't come through? What happens if the funds, if that actually dries up? I mean,
Well, I just would like to say, the federal government will come through. The problem is our state government is still supporting DEI. And
right,
that's where the funds are tied to. So it's the state government that's actually gonna be preventing the federal funds from coming to the state.
right.
Have they done anything more? I know they were the special district class that we took. They are trying to make it where the special districts get funding directly from the federal government rather than having to go through the states. Are they any farther along with that? Cause it sounded like it looked like it was gonna be
There
pretty
was
promising.
legislation, I think, that they were putting forward
Right.
for that specifically, so that our hands wouldn't be so tied. It would be great for us because we as a board have passed a resolution to be in compliance with
Right,
the executive order, so we would possibly be eligible for federal funding.
right,
So I don't know, that's a good question,
yeah.
but we should definitely look into that for sure.
And Todd, I never really actually, no one answered your question too.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Sherry, what, did you?
Is there a backup plan somewhere for districts like ours?
Not that I'm aware of,
It's on us. We gotta
It's,
figure it out.
it is on us. We have to figure it out. And we're compliant with the federal, with Trump's executive orders.
Right.
And so that compliance is probably a very smart move by the board's part.
If
Because
it makes a difference in time.
if it makes a difference in time, but we're ahead of, we're possibly ahead of everyone else. And, George and I have gone to DC and we'll probably go back to DC too, because we're trying to work on sourcing that funding direct and building relationships, because a lot of that, that plays into the factors into, how we're able to get funding for this district,
Mhm.
which is what our job is, so.
The same thing's happening with the school districts.
Mhm.
Obviously, like, Dave's Creek, I'm on the board, and we would just as soon deal directly with the federal government and bypass the state, but it's almost everything we get, pass throughs
Mhm.
with the state. And states are having problems with the whole tranny and the men and women's sports and stuff. And states are losing funding over that. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. We're not an isolated problem, as far as.
Right.
this-
No, it's not isolated, and that's part of our lobbying effort in DC is to talk to Congress people and say, hey, how do we bypass the state that's really preventing us from getting the federal funds that the federal government wants to give rural communities so that we do have transportation. Transportation is important. It increases economic growth. It gives people a chance to get a hand up, not a handout. They can get to work, they can get to the store. It's a huge base that government should be providing. And so I hope the federal government, hope we can find a way to work through that and make it happen. We're working hard at it, so.
Right, well, go
Do
ahead.
you know, what is that special district? What is the title?
SDAM.
Yeah,
Mhm.
do they meet on a regular basis? Is that something like Ben would be attending? Is it like the CEO of every special
I'm
district
sure
meets
they
on a regular?
have, well, I don't know about that, but I'm sure they have their, regular board meetings.
Yeah.
Or whatever for the organization that might be, but we have a contact where we can just email them
Yeah.
and ask questions, so we could follow up on the legislation. that they're
And
talking
what
about.
can we do to help push that kind of stuff too? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So,
Well, what we can do is there is a transportation package coming up. We still don't have all of the details on it, hasn't been released yet. But we know it's coming in the legislature. We know it's going to increase gas taxes significantly. It's going to increase payroll tax. There are a lot of other things.
There were 3 taxes that they talked about at the conference.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
gotta tax 3 different areas to get enough money that people
Right.
won't.
yes.
But they're
Put
putting
up a
6
fund.
taxes now,
So,
6 now,
yeah, it's a lot. It's massive, but
400% increase
We
in
went-
payroll tax.
Ben and I were up in Salem, talking to legislators with the OTA about this, like 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, time flies. I thought that was last week.
Yeah, I know. time flies. So we learned a lot about like closer to final version of where they are. They're still in negotiations with legislators. But I just attended the town hall with our legislators, the other day. What was that, Friday? And I asked them specifically, what are they going to do with this transportation package that really does not provide any meaningful financial support for rural districts? Because the way that it works is all of the money basically goes to Portland and goes to the big urban areas to support their transportation. And you have things like these massive amounts of money, like the Rose Quarter project, like $127 million was spent. They haven't even broken ground yet. There's a consultant that they paid some ridiculous millions of dollars. That money that really didn't accomplish anything up in Portland. What we could do with $27 million here in this area would be life-changing for the residents here, where you have a giant county, you have long distances between places, you have people who don't own vehicles, you know, that it's difficult just to get to the grocery store. And when we're working on such a limited budget, it's so difficult for us to be able to provide our communities with what they need. And we see this waste, and then they're asking for more money.
Right.
So it's
We
very
need Elon.
frustrating. Yeah, well, the
Elon
legislators
is you.
basically said there's not a whole lot that they can do. They'll go and they'll voice the concerns, but they said the biggest thing is, to have, people write testimony. These bills are going to be coming in. Let your legislators know what you want, what would be good for your community. Because that's basically all they have to be able to fight for us right now. It's not a favorable situation in the legislature for their opinions to be listened to, but that's kind
I
of,
would
that's
think though, even in the bigger districts, when it comes time for taxes,
Mhm,
especially nowadays, people aren't overly excited to
mhm.
have uncle digging his clammy little mitts into your pocketbook, you
Well,
know?
they have tire taxes that they're proposing this session. They have a bicycle tax. It's like, I think it's $12 for every time you buy a bicycle. Now, that's a significant amount of money.
I mean, that's so almost like evil, you know what I mean? Cause who is really using bikes? I mean, I know you have adults, but
It's horrible, but
Don't have a
yeah,
car,
that's.
Yeah.
Don't have a car, ride a bike, oh wait.
These,
Charge you
these
more.
Yeah,
taxes are
exactly.
all, they're all putting pressure on lower income
Absolutely.
Oregonians.
Mhm.
Every one of these new taxes, it's
Absolutely.
gonna put the pressure on them, and higher earners are gonna have less pressure. I mean, essentially, and basically, to round this out, it's, we came in here with a self-imposed as a district, a self-imposed crisis for funding. That's been resolved. Now we're facing a state-imposed crisis for funding, and new taxation is not the answer.
mhm,
And we
Yeah,
can't
it
stand,
is.
I mean, that is just not the answer right now.
mhm.
Taxes ourselves.
Yeah, people are struggling right now.
Yeah,
It's not easy when eggs are $10 a carton.
exactly. Another thing to understand too is that the transportation division of ODOT is pretty separate
Mhm.
from other divisions that are
Mhm.
blowing big money up in Portland.
Right.
And just, for some of our people's sake.
Hey, we love
Jennifer.
Jennifer. This is nothing to do with Jennifer. She's amazing.
Our transit people are solid.
She has saved our butts. I mean, she's
100%.
awesome. No, but it's just, and you have to call these things out, that money would be life-changing. And what we need is some voices up in Salem for us advocating for the rural districts, so.
Yep.
Okay, you guys, we kind of went on a tangent. I'll try to move the rest of this along a little better, but, I will entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
All right, Doug made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, should we give it to her?
Yeah.
Okay, Doug made a motion.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, she made it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously.
Did John end up getting in?
No.
I did think he was gonna join online. Okay, let's see, .2, well, we kind of just went through the budget updates too. Do we have a separate? Oh, no, we do have a separate thing for this.
The 6.2 is just a copy of the budget so
Oh,
far.
thank you. Yes,
We cannot really discuss it because we have to do that in a budget hearing and we have to wait for the budget committee to meet. The
perfect,
budget committee is going to be meeting this week on Wednesday, so for their first budget meetings.
perfect. Okay,
And we will be discussing, the budget that you currently see. It does have listed in it some, of the big ticket items that we discussed.
Mhm.
Like the accounting software, and then the executive team has met over the last couple of weeks and they have a couple of list items in there as well. You'll see that on page 19. There are a couple of things we are waiting for some better numbers to arrive. So
Okay.
we currently do not, and I'm hoping to hear something back by Wednesday.
okay,
But these are all things that will be discussed with budget committee on Wednesday.
perfect. Thank you so much for that. Informational only.
Yep.
Any questions, you guys? I mean, we can't really talk about it, so. Okay, perfect. So let's move on to public comment for on agenda items only. You are all not on agenda, correct?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Although you brought up some topics that we could speak on,
Do you guys want to speak on them?
that's only if you have interest in hearing what we have to
Of
say.
course.
Yeah.
That's why we have that.
Yeah. Take the time.
On
Oh,
agenda?
well, sure.
Okay,
We should probably tell you. Already did, we all
Oh,
did.
yeah, okay.
that's why I have the sign up sheet. Usually it makes it easier, but everybody signed up for not on agenda,
No,
so.
yeah.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we are all from Uncle Valley Disabilities Network.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Let's, is this not on agenda? Or on
No,
agenda?
No, not on, I was just introducing us. So
Oh, okay.
I was just saying, you might wanna know who we all are.
So we will definitely have you guys introduce yourselves when you do, public comment,
Okay.
but we have not on agenda at the end, so we're gonna
Okay.
get through the agenda. and
We'll hold you
then-
hostage the whole time.
Sorry.
Yeah, put in an investment.
We do two opportunities. That's why. it
And then we
matters.
decide at that point if we wanna say anything.
That's true.
Right,
yes.
well, and even though, you know, like what we're hearing and stuff, that even the stuff we're gonna say that aren't on the agenda, it still has to do with stuff on the agenda, like.
So
Right.
you are not on agenda too? Right?
He said he could speak to
I'm
the
kind of with the
agenda.
group. These are my bosses.
Okay, you wanna speak right now?
Sure.
Okay, so on agenda items only right now.
Right,
Okay,
Okay.
so.
go ahead, say your name and the city that you're from.
Okay, my name's Matt Rocher. I'm the executive director for Umpqua Valley Disabilities Network. And I'm here in Roseburg. Grew up here, class of '86, so. And I'm gonna first address the financial report.
Okay.
There was comments regarding getting together more support from local communities. This outfit had this
Mhm,
completely. This was with the Dial-A-Ride program.
mhm.
We were at one point a part of it. Along with the city of Winston, the city of Yoncalla, the city of Reedsport, Canyonville Chamber of Commerce,
Mhm.
and you had a lot of community-wide support. Now, back then, the system wasn't being utilized properly. Now it sounds like it's happening where you've got the main lines and you have the Dial-A-Ride or paratransit being utilized as circulators, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So I would recommend trying to enhance the Dial-A-Ride that seems to be getting absorbed into the paratransit, so you can bring back community support. Just my thought. That would also entail probably having some contracts drawn up
Mhm.
for each community. But everybody was down to do the whole community plan some years back when Dial-A-Ride was stronger. So I would recommend maybe looking at the financial ability of enhancing the Dial-A-Ride process to provide additional and enhanced ridership.
Mhm.
So do I need to,
Is that the end of your comment?
for right now?
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
I
for
got
your
more.
Well, we can do the off,
We'll do
Yeah,
a
we can
second
do
one in a
off
minute.
and off and,
Okay.
yeah.
Gives us
Perfect.
something to look
off the
forward to.
grid
Yes,
or whatever,
exactly.
yeah.
Thank you.
We'll probably have you
Good.
connect with, some people
Yeah.
afterwards.
Definitely have some people to connect with.
Yes, exactly. We want to hear what you have to say. All right, let's see, where are we? Compliance update. This is the final compliance update, I'd like to say. That's great.
Hallelujah.
I don't know if we should say that.
The final for now.
Do I need to?
Yeah, there you go.
Until next audit.
Sherry, are you presenting this one?
Yeah, I can, we had, oh,
Could I ask you a clarifying question? Compliance in regards to what exactly?
State and federal compliance.
Yes,
Is that just a
So-
every year, every biennium kind of
we
thing? or is it
have, well, we
special?
have a big one every 3 years. But this is, the result of some concerns with our budget last year and some
Okay.
financial things that we have going on, with
Right.
drug and alcohol compliance.
The
And,
charging stations that,
that's not really a compliance issue.
Okay.
It's kind of a different thing, but,
An issue.
but
well.
I'm gonna let her give the good news. I don't wanna steal your thunder. Go ahead,
I
Sherry.
would consider it a compliance issue if ODOT gave you funding for it and then it didn't happen. And ODOT's asking, where's the money?
Well,
And
that's
where's the
a
station?
different topic, and I'm sorry, but we gotta move on with the agenda, but I would be
Okay.
happy to talk to you about that after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
so we had our drug and alcohol, site review in February, and, RLS came out and, ODOT's compliance personnel came out.
Mhm.
They sat with George and I and, Celine and Andre, and we did our site review. And we had some findings, but we, submitted all the documentation that they needed in the
Mhm.
letter. And, this is just the letter that you see is from RLS, just officially closing our.
This is like a gold star. So.
It's a very gold star.
So just really quickly, really big thank you to you, Sherry. Really big thank you to you, George. And Ben, I know you worked on this really hard too. This team.
Not really.
Okay.
It's really sharing.
No, but I appreciate you guys so much because this was a major thing that we dealt with for
Yes.
how many months now? 6 months, right? And you guys have gotten everything back on
Awesome.
track and I just appreciate you so much.
Mhm.
So, thank you. All right. That was informational only. Any other questions or comments for Sherry from the board? No, okay.
Jennifer,
Oh,
Does she
Jennifer's
have,
got her hand
oh,
up.
I do want to say that this letter is for your drug and alcohol review only.
Yes.
It's not for your regular review because you had some items on there that were 365 days. So while
Mhm.
this is awesome and you guys did a great job on the drug and alcohol, we can't forget that there are still outstanding items on your regular compliance review. So I don't want to burst your bubble, but I don't want you to forget there are still items.
totally bursted.
I was gonna say Jennifer is such a buzzkill.
We love you, but yeah,
That's
bursted.
my job.
Let us at least have a moment, you know?
We do have ongoing things that we have to do,
Yes.
moving forward.
We haven't forgotten, Mother.
We are doing them.
No, thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
We appreciate you keeping us
Yes.
on track.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Couldn't have done it this fast without all your support
Yes.
and attention and time and energy. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, 9.1. Updates on executive order resolution 2501. So we are working towards, updating our policies to make sure we're in compliance with the executive orders. Do we have an update on that?
It's in progress.
So I think our deadline for that, I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but it will be at our next meeting.
Yeah, it was May.
Yeah, it'll be at
Yeah.
our next meeting, so I would just anticipate we probably have, I don't know which policies need to be updated. But we'll need those policy changes for our next meeting.
We've changed all the forward-facing language so far,
Mhm.
and then and that'll translate fairly quickly into the policies.
Perfect.
And as the new policies that we've written, there wasn't any in there.
And remind me, the resolution did give you, the authority to immediately implement changes, but then also there's a requirement for the official policy language changes to come to the board for
Yeah.
approval, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So we'll be doing that next meeting, you guys. Be prepared for lots of reading. Just saying. You can highlight the changes for us.
Yeah, that would.
There's only a few
yeah.
words. You go through and you just slash a few words and replace them or just slash them.
Do the Cliff Note version.
Yeah.
you know?
You'll have the full documentation, less certain words.
Okay, 9.2, transportation legislation. We kind of already went over this during the financial report, so I don't know if we need to rehash that, but does anybody have any comments on the legislation that's happening right now? Anything else?
Saying public.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, 9.3, driver safety. Who is taking that one on? Is it Andre?
George?
George?
Sorry, where-
Driver safety?
Why do we list drivers?
So this. was-
security training,
Yeah.
de-escalation. I mean, I can handle that. We're still, yeah, go ahead.
So right now, when it comes to driver safety, there's several things. One, we remove decals out of that create an impairment for the drivers.
Oh, yeah.
As far as we received an upgrade on our radios. And
Mhm.
so our fixed routes all have new radios in them. And then Demand is going through their upgrade next week. And then radios will be completed. It didn't cost us any extra money. And then when it comes to, as far as de-escalation and those
Mhm.
types of tactics, I've talked with Jennifer. She's been working on trying to get some classes. That's still in the works on ODOT side. We've looked into some alternatives also. Ben and I have actually talked about seeing if we can find a contractor to provide some in-person classes.
Mhm.
But right now, it seems like what's gonna be probably readily available is our online trainings right now.
Okay,
That are most cost effective right now, to be quite honest
Right.
with you, but it is quite expensive to get somebody here to do it
Yeah.
in person right now.
well, and we had talked too about potentially at some point having, like some in-person, security possibly to, go on the buses occasionally, whatever. I assume with that, that's creating a position, that's something that we would probably need to consider in next year's budget if we feel like that's an important part of driver safety and
I
just
think we'll be
safety.
limited on financial resources.
Right.
To do that. And then,
Does the police department do
Well,
anything
we-
like that? Any kind of business training or de-escalation?
Well, look at the verbal judo,
Mhm.
the guy that came from the jail is not actually certified, but there's a couple people that are certified to actually do that. So we'd have to get a schedule, like when they come in for a day. And which is huge, the verbal judo in person and going through, like UCC teaches it at the Reserve Academy.
Mhm.
And it's a whole day, I think we probably get down to maybe 5 hours or something. But it's huge on how to talk to people and stuff and what to do, it's huge.
Is that,
Huge.
do they charge much for that?
I don't think they would.
Yeah,
Craig Kenny,
That might
who's the
be-
ME, is certified. I don't know when his time's frame and who else would be. I thought Marco from the jail would be.
Mhm.
But that's something that, yeah, I don't think it costs much to have them come in and
And it'd
have
be
a
a nice
day.
public service.
Yeah. Well, and it's huge as far as it just goes through how to talk to people, how to de-escalate, to get that little bit of time to get a hold of us, the police. be able to respond.
Right.
And so,
But it would be good, beneficial from PR for the police as well as good PR for us, which would be newsworthy, you know? So you could get a lot of meat out of it if you did it right.
well, yeah, and
It's also very empowering
yes.
to understand it and to actually practice it and realize, oh my gosh, when someone freaks
Words.
out, I have like control
Right.
of the situation,
Yeah.
even though, and it's very powerful. It's very
Cause
powerful.
now they teach you how to see the factors if it's alcohol that's related you're dealing with, or if it's meth or
Right.
Oh,
something.
yeah.
So you can see those
Because that's a
differences.
big
It's
difference.
huge, yeah.
Well,
We need to,
Part
yeah.
of what we found too, going through the compliance, is that we really didn't have any tracking mechanism in place for training.
Mhm.
And so when we put that tracker in place and we went through all the employee files to get documentation to show that our employees had even gone through some of this training, we found it very inconsistent. So Amir and I have worked on it, and Amir's continuing on. She's got some trainings scheduled actually this week, so we're just making everybody do it across the board.
I love it.
And then that way we have documentation on when they did it.
Yeah.
And then we know that because we can get some of the classes through like RTAP and the Vector, which is SDAO.
Yeah.
Which are dealing with difficult passengers
Right.
and substance abuse awareness and the different signs and things. But we don't know
Mhm.
that all of our drivers have even had some of the very simple training. So
Right.
we are still working through the training.
I love the tracker though. That is just, that's gonna be life changing for the district. So, thank you. And then, Greg, do you think you could maybe work with George and
Yeah,
give him
absolutely.
some contact information or something?
Yeah, we have.
I know it's
Wonderful
so nice
resource,
to
yeah.
have him.
Yes.
We were made aware recently that, some of the bigger cities, George, are using a system where there's basically a button that,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can push.
Mhm.
That goes directly, that's basically a 911 button that, makes the police aware that there's a issue. I don't know whether whether a system that is hooked up to a tracking system. Or if there's any way to do this with the police department or even with our dispatch. So that a driver can simply hit a button if he's in a bad situation. And at least our dispatch is instantly made aware that this bus is in serious trouble.
And there would have to be some things that we'd have to take into consideration simply because one is that radio connected to dispatch of 911 and also two, would they know where even we're located at?
Yeah, there'd have to be a location,
That's
issue.
something that we can look into.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because.
There's companies that provide that service. They connect you with 911 and emergency services response. You put buttons, you can be a small business owner, you can be a bus, you can put it in your house. You
So
can,
it
you
would
can
be
do it.
like OnStar for us.
It's like that. You just hit the pan.
Our
Yeah.
radios currently have the ability for GPS. We just have to, it's a cost.
Of course,
And
it's
then-
always a cost.
And
And
then-
that's one of the things that we've added to the budget as a wish list. Andre's currently getting some pricing from
20%.
Perfect,
Yeah.
okay.
on that.
20%.
You're already on it. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on to our new business. We're just marching right along, you guys. Great. Okay, our new business is, we have a new CEO. And he's our old CEO.
Me and a new boss, same as the old boss.
A new and improved version.
Was that the who? Me, the new boss, same as the old boss.
That's right.
Exactly.
Anyway, we're glad to have Ben on board and we've been through a pretty good last 6 months and we're hoping to see more of that winning. So congratulations. and
Thank you very
welcome.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So we went from interim to regular,
Permanent.
permanent. I wasn't gonna say permanent,
Yeah.
but do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I just, proud of, when I first started as interim GM at the time, district was 2.5 weeks from not making payroll. We were in a we had, I think it was like 60 something that was condensed to like 43 compliance violations that were threatening our funding from state and the federal government funding, okay? Very, very bad. We had a tremendously challenged culture. There was a lot of cancer, there was a lot of strife, and one thing that I said in the very first week, in the very first board meeting, which I know is on the record, is that I won't be the one that fixes this district. It will be the people that are here, that are the employees, they would do it. And that is true. They did it. It wasn't me, it was Sherry, it was Andre, it was George, it was Selena, it was even the drivers that hung through the tough time. It was everybody from the ground up that came together to bring this thing together. And all I did was give them the freedom and the responsibility to do it. And that's where we're at today. We're riding very smooth. We have the right people in the right seats. And, you know, my focus is on the outside of the agency. I think, you know, I feel absolute 100% confidence in our executive team. And in this board, the board made tough decisions under fire. And they were the right decisions, because look where we are now versus where we were 4 months ago. And there was a lot of public pressure. There was a lot of pressure from the media. There was a lot of things that were being said and a lot of blame being put on the people in this room that didn't create the problems. And I also think, you know, we couldn't have gotten through this to where we are today without the support from Jennifer Boardman of ODOT. She would talk to you at night, during the day, on the weekends. She was dedicated to the success of this agency, and you know, we couldn't have gotten here without her. And so it just takes a village, right? And we all got to be moving in the same direction, and we got to know who we are, and we got to know where we're going. And I think the district knows that today, a lot more than it did 4 or 5 months ago. So that I'm really proud to just be a part of.
Thank you. All right, next is town hall planning. I think Amira's gonna talk about it. Are you gonna talk about it? No?
I'll let Ben talk about it.
Okay.
I don't mind talking. So we're things are slower in Roseburg, okay? Things are a little slower. So when we make a call and get a message, and then they take some time, and things are a little bit slower, but we're trying to, we originally had the town hall set. And by the way, I don't know if this is on the record or not, but we're planning an open forum town hall with the directors and our leadership team at UP. Hopefully at the Roseburg High School auditorium, and as soon as we can, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, so that we can take feedback from the public and have some conversations about transit, about the future of our funding, the future of transit here. We originally baked it in for May 5th, which is Cinco de Mayo, and I don't want to interfere with anybody's party plans.
Unless you're serving margaritas.
Well, we may have to do that, but it's a high school, but there might be some compliance issues. We'll ask Jennifer. But I was like, man, we gotta change that date. And so, so we're now hoping to do it on the 7th, but we're gonna find out, but we will notify the public about when that is gonna be set up. So it's ready to roll. We just need to get a date pinned down, and then it's on.
Perfect.
The gentleman said that the week of May 5th is available, so we just need to pat down.
Oh, good. Well, now, thank you, Mary. We needed you.
It's gonna be in the evening.
That'd have been a lot shorter.
Sorry, what are we talking, 6:30? What time are you thinking of start time?
I told him we would have it from like 4 PM till,
So dinner time.
We would have the space so we can prep and set up, but yeah, it would probably starting time 7 o'clock would probably be pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Unless you're like my family, we don't eat dinner till around 8:30 because we're busy.
I live at my parents' eat at 7.
Maybe we can order pizza or something, but the point is to hear from the public.
That's really the key.
What do they want from us? What do they want the transportation district to look like?
Yeah.
What is working well? What needs improvement? Those sorts of things, suggestions, just community involvement. So I'm excited about that. It's gonna be really neat.
I'm very excited for that too. We got ourselves out of the woods. and now it's time to hear from the public and,
And it's not a bad thing to do on a regular basis, actually.
Absolutely.
You
I would
know,
love to get these on
yeah.
a regular basis.
Like even if you did quarterly or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yep.
Maybe roam around the district or something, you know.
Traveling town hall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
traveling town hall.
we got buses.
We can decorate them like cookies or something.
That's right, yeah.
Great idea.
Streamers, confetti.
Okay, well, thank you guys
The
for that
budget allows.
update. And, Ben, it's all you, CEO report.
Well, I mean, we talked about it.
Jennifer had
Oh,
Jennifer,
something, in the chat.
no margaritas?
Hill again, that's charter, so you have
We're
to
not-
follow the
we
charter.
won't do it.
No, yes.
What happened?
We, well,
We can't
she-
use the buses
yeah,
for the
we-
town hall.
We're being very tongue in cheek, Jennifer, I'm sorry, inappropriate.
I was only kidding.
I'm the one at fault because I egg them on. I'll take the
I think
blame.
we need to figure out this charter thing.
We laugh, yeah. They egg me on.
Okay, Ben, your report, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you know, we recovered a lot of the things that I was gonna discuss, at least from my position and what I'm focused on. You know, again, compliance and finance and everything is strong. And operations is changing too. We've changed some of the flow of the operations by moving some offices around and creating a better space for the drivers downstairs, really trying to just improve the lives of the drivers. And in as many ways as we possibly can right now. But as far as like, you know, public facing stuff goes, you know, we're working through a reorganization of the website, and it's a pretty big website, actually. It's bigger than it looks because you have to, the way it's laid out right now, you've got to really do a lot of you know, diving. You click this and this and this, you go on sort of a rabbit hole. Yeah, there's a lot of clicks, a lot of layers. So we're trying to do right now is trying to take the really important stuff the public needs to see, which is the communications from us, and get those up front, up high, up top, so that we can start to communicate. We are on X, okay? X is the place to be, to get updates. We had some temporary route closures today, for example, and, you know, we got about 115 people that follow us on X. So improving communications with the public is really really what I'm looking to do next right now. It's a big piece of this, and that's getting that X account on the buses so riders can see it, getting, you know, so people can be connected. You know, we don't have a relationship with the public unless we have two-way communication. And so at least we can form that one way. And then through social media, we get that two-way. And it's also really challenging to get messages in through our website to the right people, to us. It's very difficult right now, the way it's laid out, to be able to sell advertising and describe the advertising program that we're developing and revamping. So the advertising program, I think, can bring in 6 figures for the district. That's every year at least. If not more. We've done a big inventory count. We have a lot of inventory that is just absolutely never even thought of before, but we have a lot. And so we can really start to drive that up. But we're creating a new business here, and that's what it is. And so it actually is a lot more in depth than it looks. But we're building it out. I know how to do that. That's one thing I do have a lot of experience in. So we're gonna build that out so that at least we have that discretionary funds that we can use for the improvement of our drivers, the improvement of our riders. Because that's where the discretionary funds need to be really spent, right? On the things that matter the most, who we serve and who serves them directly. Those are the most important people to me. So we want to bring that in and be able to incorporate that. So improving communications on the website is really big. We don't have an email list, but I did discover that the site that we're using allows us to create and build that list and send out email blasts to people who subscribe. So you will be able to go onto the website in the next couple of weeks and subscribe so that you can get our press releases. You can get notifications right away. If you're a rider, if you take up on a regular basis, you need to subscribe. You need to follow us on X at Umpqua Transit. Okay, it's Umpqua Transit. That's what it is. We're on Facebook as well, but X is such a great, fast. Here's a set notifications, so you get our notifications on X. Click the little bell on the top right, and you're going to get every single post that we put out, and you'll have up-to-date information about your getting around town.
Before you move
Yep.
on, did we get our access back to Nextdoor?
I don't know, cause I don't know next door, so.
There are a lot of local people
Mhm.
on Nextdoor and the community is very active.
Next door.
And I think that, do we have access, do you know?
I don't know, but I think that Laura had set it up when she was
That's why I
here,
was
and
wondering if we have
think we
access to it.
might have some information.
Okay,
we had, so I'll take a look.
okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's follow that. We've modified some of the, like with Amira, she's, instead of the executive assistant, she's, the public relations coordinator. Because that's where that assistance is really needed right now.
Mhm.
And so we've got that support, which is, and she's amazing, by the way. She
She
just
is
kicks butt, takes names. And then, we're still working on, I think, kind of the, the charger issue is really big. We want to get this issue resolved. And I think we're one of the challenges that we're faced right now is that it kind of reminds me of when I was in the coffee business in 2020 and I had to sell all my equipment. Everyone else was selling it too. And I think that's where we're at right now with the charger situation is everyone's trying to dump chargers. So we're still following leads. We're still pushing forward on this issue to create at least an option for the board to decide if we want to liquidate those things or not. And we're discussing all the ins and outs of that. ODOT is, we're talking about the funding gaps. I think one of the biggest threats to the agency right now is the funding between next quarter and November, when the feds are gonna be sending out is that correct? That it's about November, okay? So we've got this bridge that we're gonna need from ODOT, and ODOT is telling us that they have some COVID funds left over. And that could be used, but they'd really like to see a deal on these chargers, at least some kind of a deal. So we don't have anything unless we can sell them or liquidate them in some way. And so we're talking with TriMet right now. We're talking with other transit people that, we've reached out to multiple districts. I've reached out to multiple districts, trying to build relationships with the other special districts around the state, with their CEOs and GMs. They're out looking for, to try to help us get rid of these things. I don't know necessarily where to advertise them, but we've reached out to brokers. No brokers want to deal with them. We do have a major problem with the fact that they're out of warranty. And the company, of course, that sold it to us is bankrupt. And again, it's not us, it was the previous administration where this issue was born. We're doing everything we can to fix it and resolve it, and it's a challenge, I'll just say that. But we're not gonna quit on it, I ain't no quitter, and we're not gonna quit on it, we're gonna get it resolved one way or another, and we're gonna do it in a way that hopefully that's, hate to use the word, but equitable, because this is the appropriate use of that word, between ODOT and UPTD. So that's the goal here, that's the objective, and I think we're gonna get there, okay? We're gonna figure it out. Something's gonna happen, but we're working out as hard as we can, and ODOT is being as patient as they can.
Yeah.
So
Can we
hopefully it
hire
works out.
somebody to sell them? Like,
The
if
broker.
they get a percentage so the brokers won't take it?
It is being very challenging.
No one can sell it, that's why they don't want to do it. If they could sell it, they'd sign up in a heartbeat.
No, we talked about
Not it, them.
the potential to sell parts too, that it could be.
The charging
This has
station.
Parted out.
been incredibly challenging, breaking it up, finding
Yeah.
brokers, finding anybody. The problem is that it's been sitting in our garage for quite some time.
Yeah,
And there's no warranty on it.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Well,
there's not a
and they
huge-
went out of business.
And they went out of business, so.
Yeah.
I've actually tried to contact them myself directly
Mhm.
through Volvo, and I can't even get a phone call back.
I just don't understand
I've done the
how
same
you
thing, can't do
can
it.
buy a bankrupt company and not assume their liabilities.
Well, you don't buy the company, you buy that company's assets.
Right, but you have to buy their liabilities too.
No,
You
you
can't
don't.
just say,
No, you don't. You
nobody's
never,
responsible for this.
yeah, you never actually buy a company, you buy their assets and you create a new company and you buy their DBA. You never buy, because actually, when you're acquiring a business, you never acquire their business because you do get their liabilities.
Mhm.
The liabilities stay with them. So this
Well,
is
I
a
believe
pretty,
it's didn't they have some sort of, there were multiple companies.
yeah.
It was Volvo, it's not just Volvo, there's another one too.
Mhm.
What was the other company? You remember?
Yeah,
Proterra
went
went bankrupt, but there were multiple companies that acquired Proterra.
it's all Volvo, but different parts of Volvo.
Oh, it is, okay.
Acquired because they all run as
Okay.
different legal entities under the umbrella of OBO.
Yep.
Okay.
So one of the, in the private sector world, and this is not the private sector world, but in the private sector world, when you have bad inventory, you dump it.
Mhm.
Because that inventory costs us money. It's costing us a lot. That purchase, that mess up is costing this district tremendously, not just in the value of the asset itself, but
All the time you're wasting.
the time that we're wasting. And,
Fix it,
if I, in the private sector, you call up the person who's also getting screwed by that deal, i.e. ODOT in this case, and you'd say, what would you be thinking about right now if not for this? What would you be doing right now if not for trying to solve this stupid problem? The fastest solution is to take the things and throw them in the dump,
Mhm.
okay? Because then it's done and then you're free and then you can actually move. But this isn't the private sector, this is government and, we have to, you know, we have to figure it out and it's gonna take a lot more time and energy and taxpayer resources to solve this problem. But every time we spend an hour on this problem, it goes cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching for the taxpayers in the state and around this country. And that's truly how you look at it in the private sector and the business world. You go,
Right.
what's this really costing us? This is costing us, the $250,000 has already cost ODOT and us probably over $1 million at this point in resources and in real true dollar amounts, if you're gonna add it up properly. So hopefully we can be able to end this issue and wipe our hands of it and move on, one way or another, but we're gonna keep, the relationships are everything. And the relationship between this district and ODOT is very, very important to us. We are not ODOT, they are not us, but the relationship is important. And so they want to see this get resolved the way they want to see it resolved. And for that case, we're going to continue to try to resolve it the best we can in that way. But truly, the smart thing for both parties to do is to throw them in the dump and move on with their
We're
lives.
afraid that somebody's stealing.
Well, Karen. Whatever the charge would be. Insurance. All right, now hopefully hope to God nobody steals our charges now. We'll get thrown in jail for it.
Oh my
But
God.
it's a genius idea. The private sector, they say.
Thank you for that report, Ben.
Well, you're most welcome. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to public comment for not on agenda items. So if there's anybody online that would like to participate in public comment, if you can maybe put something in the chat so we know you want to talk or raise your hand. I know we have people here in the room that would like to talk, so let's start with Jan Carey.
I defer to Matt.
Oh, you don't want to speak at all?
I'll pipe in if I need to.
Okay, just really quickly, because I want to make sure everybody understands. For public comment, this public comment time is not a time for a discussion between the public and the board. So it's really just for public comment. We definitely want to keep some order with the public comment. So you guys are all working together. I understand that. But just for your understanding, the board won't be having a conversation. But if you guys would like to speak with us after the meeting, or sometime next week, set up a meeting, whatever, we're happy to sit and talk with you. But I just wanted to let everybody know that we're not being rude.
Well, we'll just say something, Mac, I just wanna, but we have to follow the
Yeah,
order.
let, so who would like to go first? You wanna go first?
Oh.
Okay,
Sure.
go
I think I
ahead.
was last on the list. but-
Say your name for the record of the city that you're from.
Umpqua Valley Disabilities Network. My name's Matt Droscher, and I'm here in Roseburg.
Perfect.
Okay. So as you can tell by the name, we deal with folks with disabilities of all types, various types. And cross-section is, a lot of them access transportation.
Mhm.
And we're finding increasing difficulty. We are finding we have consumers that are having difficulty accessing the transportation. And I know this is probably the last thing you guys want to hear. Like, what? But so we have people that put up with quite a bit. So some of our difficulties are when some of our consumers are getting shoved into the back end of a Prius and they can't, because they're oversized. They don't have the extension straps so they can be secured safely in the back seat. So we have concerns about that. There are vehicles that are of a reasonable size that would be better at transporting folks. But I don't know if the staff with dispatch are looking at this when they look at the regular ridership. And most of our folks are regular riders. Some of the other things is that rides are getting dropped more frequently. There's been cancellations. Again, we're working with people who have disabilities, and sometimes having a very structured life gives them purpose, gives them comfort. So when a ride gets canceled, it screws up their whole day. And then they go from having a good day to having a bad day. And then sometimes we get that. We get that when they show up. So there's that, and we would like to see if there can be some improvements made. And we'd also like to offer, we could do some ADA type etiquette training, if that's something that might be of benefit to the riders and to dispatch. This is something that Jan and Barb have come up with. This is something that we used to do before, typically in-house. But, and I also know that Jennifer and ODOT, they have their ADA team where they could also access this. But I think we need to rest it here on the local level. And it might also work out great, especially when you're talking about the previous trainings with verbal judo, things like that. We could actually see us maybe wanting to participate in that as well, because
For free.
our office is downtown. So we get a lot of those same folks that come in and then they get on the bus or get on the van. We also have concerns about access because people have limited income. And the dial ride being phased into what looks like being phased into paratransit, where there's $1 to $3 rides. They can't afford that. If they only have, if they're on SSI and they only get a small allowance. Say if they've got 5 round trip rides in a week to 5 different places, that's $30. That's potentially $30. And if they only have, up to say $200 in their allowance, that's life altering for them. That's meals. That's making critical choices. Do I want to get to my doctor's appointment? Or do I want to eat? So we're having people that are actually also choosing to refuse rides because of previous mishaps. So they're not getting the medical care that they need. So those are all things that we wanted to just kind of bring up. And we're certainly willing to be partners in this and provide the training. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Was that short and
Thank you
sweet?
so much.
Thank you.
Sherry.
Thank you for coming in and
Can
sharing
I just
that.
ask some
Yeah.
clarifying things? When you talk about the sedan side, that's is that through the Bay Cities? That's through the medical transportation?
No, I'm seeing it mostly through Hyper,
Oh,
Hyper
okay,
Transit.
okay, Hyper's not.
Can we do clarifying questions after the board meeting? Just because if we open this up to a discussion between the board and the public, then it turns into, we need
Okay.
to have a discussion with every single,
Okay, that's
You
fine.
know,
I just wanted to.
and I
kind of
wanna be
understand
fair.
some of the,
Right.
dynamics.
So.
But I think it would be good for us to set up a meeting with you guys.
Yeah.
If, I don't know if anybody else would like to speak.
Well, I think he's pretty much.
He
said
covered
what we-
everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
And just to add one more little piece sort of in response. We want to make sure things work.
Yeah.
And we don't notice the difference as far as like contractually who's providing the rides and how that goes about. We just see the receiving end when they show up either late or they don't show up at all, or they, somehow peel themselves out of the back seat. And we just find that that's not very dignifying. That's disrespectful. So I just want to make sure for the respect of our ridership, for our consumers that we will share, that it would be good if we take a good, strong look at that.
perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining
Well,
us
thank
tonight. And
you.
we will definitely have somebody get in contact. I think it would be good for you to talk to Andre and probably Sherry, and Selena,
That
yeah.
would be awesome.
To clarify some things, but thank you guys so much for
You
attending.
what, and so we're going, right? And then the
We
executive
are,
session.
yeah, we're gonna do an agenda build, which is not really that interesting, and, and then, yeah, executive session, so you guys,
Yeah, we may go.
yeah, if you want to, for sure.
Certainly.
Did we have any public comment online? I don't know if there was anything in the chat.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Okay,
That's Selena.
yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay.
I wanna make it fair for everybody that does public comment.
I don't think so, Okay.
Okay, so let's do, our agenda build really quickly.
Thank you, people.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Very cool.
There was a comment on discussion, what you were saying.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'll pull that up.
Yeah, Matt is talking about Bay Cities brokerage. I believe we only have vans here for paratransit and dial ride. They have several companies that have private vehicles that they would have to let them know any issues with vehicles they may have.
Okay, we get people that come in on Sunshine Taxi, Piper Transit, they come on the regular vans, with the lift.
Yeah, we'll have to have you connect with him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, some of those rides are through big cities, the brokerage, and then some of them are probably dial ride.
okay, let's move on to our agenda build, for next time, so. Pretty much everything the same, through number 6, right? Gonna do our meeting minutes, preventative maintenance report, ODOT update, financial report. We will have are we gonna have a budget to vote on at the next meeting? You know,
In the May meeting?
Yeah.
We should.
okay,
That's
so
the goal.
we'll be
So,
passing the
We
budget.
have 4 meetings between now and the next, board meeting. So
Okay.
budget committee meeting, so we're hoping to have.
Yep,
That is 5:30 on Wednesday.
okay,
And
and
it
then,
is virtual attendance.
Yes, you can do virtual.
then we'll do public comment on agenda again. Compliance updates, we're not gonna have anything under there, well, unless we wanna talk about some of the 365-day items.
We can.
You wanna give an update on that? Okay,
I would say leave it on,
yeah, compliance,
then we want.
365. And then old business. Updates on the executive order, resolution 2501, we're going to have some policies to pass
Yep.
next time. So let's make sure that that's clear on there, that we are expecting to have some policy updates. 9.2 transportation legislation, we should have a final transportation package to be able to talk about at that meeting. Driver safety. It sounds like we're looking into that, so let's go ahead and keep that on
It
there.
seems like
again.
we should keep it on the agenda just so that we are always thinking about. it.
Right, exactly. And then new business, well, the town hall will have happened. So we don't have any of that. Is there any new business that the board would like to talk about at the next meeting?
Are we having a meeting Wednesday?
Budget committee is.
Actually, our next meeting, will that be after the elections?
Are you on the?
No, our next meeting is before.
It wouldn't matter
It's
anyway,
the June meeting.
because the turnover happens in July anyway. if
Yeah,
There's any
yeah.
turnover.
Yep,
Well,
the next
meeting's May, right?
next meeting is May.
Yeah.
So actually, for new business, we can talk about the town hall and how it went if we want to. I don't know if we need to, but
I think we should bring it up, or I can bring it up in my CEO report too.
okay.
But either way, we can throw it on the agenda just to remember it.
Yeah, let's
That
put,
seems like it would be old business though.
It'd be old news.
technically it's new business.
Well, it
New
already
business,
is
old
new business if it had already happened.
You know, I just realized, you guys, that,
a Monday? That town hall? Or a Wednesday?
I don't remember.
May 7th is a Wednesday.
Yeah, because the Monday was the Secret Mile.
So May 7th, is that when it's gonna be?
Yes.
Tentatively.
It's like an unofficial national holiday.
And where is this gonna be again? Where's it?
Roseburg High School Auditorium.
What are the times?
We haven't
We don't
determined
know
it yet,
yet.
but it would probably be evening.
6, probably-ish.
I could probably make, well, it just depends. I'll try not to schedule anything for that time.
We do have to keep in mind with the policy changes, any of it has to do with the FDA and if we've gotten any verbiage that we can replace things with, and we may. Because I believe we are going to have another site visit at our this year.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and most of the policies have been sort of naturally avoidance of that. So, and we've also updated some too, so we should be good. Yeah, but it's a good thing to keep an eye on, but we should be good.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll track it.
We're gonna try to be in compliance with everyone at the same time. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but.
No doubt.
Okay, you guys, you know what? I just realized I did skip not on agenda. Does anybody have anything not on agenda?
Well, you kind of married it
Yeah,
into
but-
not on agenda public.
I know, well, they were supposed to comment on not on agenda, but if you guys had anything to bring forward. I do have one thing that's not on agenda that came to my attention on Friday. So as you guys know, we do have an election coming up. And so there has been some advertising for candidates with the use of the UPTD logo without authorization. And it does appear, it sort of looks like it's an endorsement from UPTD for these candidates. And so I just want to make it publicly clear that UPTD is not endorsing any candidate. It would be a conflict of interest for UPTD to do that. And we are definitely discouraging the unauthorized use of our logo in any campaign materials for any candidate. And none of those candidates are sitting in this room, just for clarification.
Okay, I was gonna add that the candidates who did really illegally use the UPTD logo in their campaign material and they're not here, they're not members of this board.
Yes, so that's all I'll say about that.
Did they use it or was the news?
No, they used it.
Yeah.
They used it and they used it and passed it out and
Okay.
it's been used.
Are you gonna borrow one of our illustrious senators? Cease and desist letters then?
We will not be talking about legal matters in open session. Jennifer has her hand up. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, I just wanted to, if possible, next time I would really like to share some information about lobbying. I know all of you have your own political opinions and views. There are specific rules. Here I go again. I am a buzzkill because that's my job. There are specific rules for lobbying and what you can and cannot do. So you want to really be very cautious as you move forward and do any kind of advertising on X or any of the platforms. And if you are lobbying for or against anything, there are specific forms that you have to fill out. So that is something that I really want to share with y'all, and I'll send you the information.
I have a very pertinent question on that issue. So when we were invited as OTA members to the transit day at the Capitol, I was unaware that the purpose of that transit day at the Capitol was to employ all of the OTA members to lobby our legislators. In fact, they had taken the liberty of setting meetings for me with multiple legislators, and they handed me a packet of information to push for this transportation package. So I am very concerned with the number of ODOT members that were there, the number of other transit agency members who were there.
I mean, I know that Suzanne was there for a short time, but other than that, I don't know of other ODOT folks that were there. And they
have a picture.
Well, okay. I mean, I think that rather than worrying about those other folks, I would worry about UPTDs. So making sure that you guys are following the rules. Definitely talking to Patrick Singh, who's in charge of the OTA. But I think making sure that you all are following the rules would be the number one goal.
Yeah, I agree. Well, my first concern with this actually happened when we went to the conference in Seaside, and they were hosting a lunch that, you're there for lunch, so you're gonna listen to their pitch, right? And they have several legislators there, they have a lobbyist there, and they had the commissioner of the OTA. And they actually said, all the people in this room, we need you to lobby your legislators. And then they corrected themselves and said, oh, we mean educate, since that's illegal to tell public employees to go lobby their legislators. So I think this could be a systemic problem that probably needs to be addressed.
What about that little breakout where they tried to turn us all into lobbyists?
Right. Oh, that was another one. There was actually a training that did exactly the same thing. So I share your concerns, Jennifer. I think that, we're not necessarily organizing, but I do think that I was sort of put in a compromised situation when I showed up at the transit day at the Capitol, thinking I was just gonna learn about transit at the Capitol and talk to my legislators about what's happening with the upcoming bills. And then I was asked to lobby, so.
Weaponized.
Well, that would definitely be something that you would want to bring up with the folks at the OTA, because they are the lobbying arm of the Transit for Oregon. That is their job. You're paying them to do that lobbying, but if you are doing any yourselves, and so it's better to err on the side of caution and fill out the forms as necessary. And I'm sending the information to you all so that you can look it over. I just wanted to make sure that I was keeping you aware to keep you out of any kind of trouble with that.
Thank you.
We
Thank
appreciate it. Yeah.
It is interesting that you can be sent out to lobby by them, but you are restricted if they're not sending you out to do it.
Yeah.
I think the
Sounds
key
kind of-
is knowing the regulations and then making sure that you're reporting on any lobbying you're doing. It isn't illegal to do the lobbying. It's the way that you go about it and making sure that you're following the rules.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
very specific rules that us as public employees of the district have to follow.
But when they are talking to a room full of people,
Yes,
they're not telling them that. That's like I say, there's a little bit of an irony in this
it is.
hypocrisy.
I agree. All right. With that, I think it's time for us to go into executive session. So if you would like to rejoin us after executive session, you can go ahead and place yourself in the lobby, the waiting room. What is it called?
Either one.
Wait,
The
Yeah,
green room.
and then,
did we want to go over the ridership numbers before the executive
oh,
session?
where did I miss that?
That is just always at the back. not
It's
on the-
usually always been part of the CEO's,
Oh, sorry about that. I skipped it. Okay, you wanna talk about ridership?
Do we have reports?
We do.
It was in the back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys, I'm being a terrible chair today.
I wouldn't go that far.
So with our ridership numbers right now, I'm currently working on taking our ridership numbers and creating a dashboard.
Oh, I love that.
Currently, it's too granular, the data is. And so, that's gonna,
Sorry, did we have people go into the waiting room since we're not going into executive session? I just wanna make sure they're.
Yeah, they're dropping off.
There's nobody in the waiting room right now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anybody. Sorry about that.
no, it's okay. So we'll be creating a dashboard. Right now, what we're doing is, myself and Andre, we're evaluating all of the routes. We know that there are some routes that are underperforming. We have some that are being over serviced. And the numbers aren't making sense. And so there's a variety of things that we're looking at right now. to decrease the wear and tear in our vehicles. Right now, our fuel expense is just outrageous, our maintenance expense is outrageous. And the number of riders just don't support the expense. So we have some creative ideas that we're looking at right now, but we're doing a cost analysis to determine whether it's gonna make financial sense.
Mhm.
But right now, we're looking at the South County PM Winston route. It's got some very low numbers. We're also looking at the red line and green line. We have about 4 buses right now that are servicing those, and the numbers just don't support 4 buses right now to have that amount of coverage on Saturday and Sunday with numbers really low.
Mhm.
And then we're also looking at the red line, green line through Monday through Friday. The routes are incredibly long and it
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense. We can do a north and south and then an east to west. And it makes more sense. It'll be less of wear and tear on the vehicles. And we have the assets to be able to do it. And so riders will actually get picked up quicker that way instead of having one massive long route.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about 2 hours right all the way around right now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So then we're also looking at the fact that we can take part of that route and actually pick up a few more people at some senior centers.
That would be great. And then the other thing that I always just am concerned about is, do we have, and how can we increase coverage for people that don't have easy access to the grocery store? And, you know, we kind of have created some food deserts in
Yep.
parts of Roseburg. And it can be difficult. I mean, we do have grocery stores, but we have people that can't walk to the grocery store. There's just too much distance. So, you know, if we do have the ability to modify some of these routes, I would love for that to be, you know, one of the main focuses is just making sure that we're helping people get to the grocery store.
Yeah, and we did look at that, and that was one of the things that, you know, with how we're determining of how to split this route. We're actually be able to pick up about 3 more spots, senior centers that are right there by the social security office. And so we'd actually be able to get more people and get them into the grocery store a lot quicker. And it doesn't really deviate us very far from
Right.
our current route right now.
Makes you more efficient.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So we're looking at doing that.
And
So-
that's great because it's gonna be really impact the wear and tear on the vehicles too. You know, it'll be a broad range of what it's gonna be helping.
Yeah, with this, what we'll see is a reduction in about 3 buses used. Well, 2 buses on a Saturday, 1 bus Monday through Friday, and then possibly adding a few more stops and not have so much wear and tear on the red line, green line Monday through Friday on top of that.
That's great.
So we're trying to reduce our expense as much as possible. It won't just help with fuel and vehicle, but it also help us bring down our FTE for drivers, which right now we are hurting right now in that category. We just don't have, we have several people out on FEMLA.
They're
currently
really
right now.
staff, but we've got employees that are
Right.
on FMLA.
Yeah,
And we struggle with getting part-time workers. It's just. We've been having open posts for about 6 months and haven't been able to get any part-timers.
yeah.
So by doing this, we don't necessarily need to reduce the number of FTE.
Mhm.
We'll make the adjustment on the hours, but it'll be cost savings for us across the board.
Yeah, well, and this is a great topic for our town hall too, because when, you know, if we're considering route changes, we need the public input for that too, so if we can maybe have some of those recommendations like ready for the public for the town hall, I think that would be fantastic. Okay, now I think we can go into executive session. All right, guys.
That's really
So-
what you guys are doing.
I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn regular session at 6:58. We're gonna move into executive session. If you are online and you'd like to join us again, please put yourself in the waiting room. I missed out. So, okay, so we are back in regular session. Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize Michaela as chair to finalize the negotiations and complete the contract for the CEO position with our attorney.
All right, Kathy made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. It is 8:48 PM and I am adjourning this meeting. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
too.
Yeah.